Penis is evil.
Welcome, giant cephaliatic phalluses, to episode 384 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 23rd of December 2020, and wishing you a happy holiday season. Today we review The Creature from the Pit, written by David Fisher, and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor, Lala Ward as Romana, and David Brierley as the voice of K9. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Good evening.
Mad Matt Winchell,
Anonymous Green Brain,
and Thomas Fireheart.
Merry Crimbus.
Don't bring up the Krampus.
So how's everybody's week been?
Well, I worked 5 days straight and was lucky to have 3 of them not have any Christmas music at all, which was kind of odd. And then I jinxed it, so the last 2 were nothing but Christmas music. Thankfully, they were all only 4-hour shifts anyway, but still, it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're still lucky you don't work where I used to. Because we would get nothing but Christmas music, except every 5 minutes it'd be interrupted with a commercial for the store, which had its own jingle.
I think most places I've worked that played music, once Halloween ended, Christmas music. Until so from November 1st to January 1st, Christmas music.
I can't remember if it was that much at Menards, but I know from Thanksgiving onwards it was all Christmas music.
Because there's not really Thanksgiving music in that way. Any Thanksgiving songs are pretty much Christmas songs.
Are there Thanksgiving songs?
Not that I'm really aware of. Like, there might be songs about fall or eating dinner with your family, but they're subsumed by Halloween or Christmas.
Yeah. But no, I just remember, hearing like Bing Crosby, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, and it being interrupted for, you save big money when you shop Menards. It's Santa's sack is full of savings at Menards. I'm like, God, no, kill me.
We don't need to know about Santa's sack.
The thing is,
that makes it sound like hold music, and that can be the worst.
It was music, but God, the thing is, it got into your head. You would lie down to go to sleep at night, and as you dozed off, you would
Right. So on my end, I've been experimenting a little bit with cooking since I have a lot of free time and I've been procrastinating from doing any research work. But I've kind of created my own marinade for the first time, and it worked out all right. It was basically citrus, jalapeno, cilantro chicken. And I've now that I have some idea of how to make a very simple sauce, I've experimented a little bit with that. Just things like adding some butter, flour, and water to garlic, and making it into a little bit of sauce. I made a feta and goat cheese sauce because I didn't have any regular cheese for my cheeseburger today, and it came out pretty well.
Feta and goat cheese, that's kind of redundant, isn't it?
Yeah, but I had like a teaspoon. I had like half a teaspoon of feta and a container of goat cheese in my fridge. So I used up the last of the feta, a little bit of goat cheese, just because I didn't have any more feta left. And it was like this. It took the place of what normally would have been a slice of cheese.
I'm sorry. I
Hmm.
hear that and I'm like, wow, that needs pesto.
Hmm.
That needs pesto, and then it needs to be folded into an omelet with some spinach.
Mm.
Well, on the
But
topic of things that got
I take it by that you had a reaction to that one, huh?
No, I'm just thinking that would be that sounds like it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, that's how I used to
Yeah.
that's how I used to make a Greek omelet. Was
Hmm.
feta,
I mean,
pesto,
feta and spinach is a classic combination already.
but you add that little pesto for that kick.
Mm.
And we used to have there used to be somebody up at the farmer's market who made really good pesto and sold it. So my mother would get that and it's like, you're making Greek omelets. I'm like, yes, I am. Uh, well, we had a death in the family this week again, but this was
Yeah.
more of electronic nature.
Ah.
Aaron's
Oh, right.
computer Aaron's computer bit the dust over the weekend, and it
Mm.
is very, very dead.
I heard it was the motherboard.
It's either the motherboard or the hard drive.
something just went completely AWOL.
Something scrammed in that computer that's just absolutely garbaged it, and it's bad enough that we can't install a new copy of the OS. We can boot up off of a thumb drive,
Hmm.
but when we go to install Windows on one of the drives, it's like cannot allocate resources for this install.
No.
I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, that sounds like a hard drive dead to me.
Yeah.
Mm.
The problem is, it does it on both drives.
Oh, so it might even be worse than might be the motherboard just lost all kinds of
It might be the
connection to
hard drive.
everything.
It might be the hard drive controller went
Mhm.
crap on her computer. And that would make sense. That motherboard is the oldest part of that computer, and it is like over 10 years old.
At least my motherboard's reaching 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 2007, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there is when that hard drive was manufactured, or when that motherboard was manufactured. Because
Mm.
apparently it wasn't a new board when Aaron got it.
Oh,
Yeah, they were looking up the serial number and looking for its production date and went, wow, yeah.
Yeah, when you're looking up a part and someone says "Wow," you know that you're probably better off getting
yeah,
starting from
And
scratch.
I bought my
And that-
machine brand new from a Best Buy when I got it, and
It still
admittedly it's a
doesn't mean-
Frankenstein now, but it's more than that.
It still doesn't mean that the parts were new when the computer was assembled. They still pulled those parts from a warehouse, and we don't know how long they were sitting in a warehouse. I
Mm.
mean, there's probably still, it's only supposed to be aged months, but you never know. This one was not a pre-build; it was assembled by somebody Aaron knew. So
Mhm.
that means the parts was ordered from someplace who had them sitting on a shelf somewhere for God knows how long.
That's just it.
And this was assembled in 2011, 2012, something like that.
Yeah,
Aaron-
I've always wondered why her machine seemed to be a pinch slower than mine, even though mine was pre-made.
When did you get yours?
I got mine around 2010, but it's been Frankenstein since then.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Well, if I
Admittedly, it
remember
started
correctly-
slower than hers,
Mm.
but then as soon as I upped the graphics card and upped the RAM, it ran way faster.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you have a slightly better processor.
Yeah, I do. Despite its age, also the processor is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, the CPU in this still functions. I'm pretty sure if there's a problem somewhere, it's somewhere on the motherboard.
Yeah.
Like I said, probably in the IDE controller, which still means that motherboard is Frel.
Mm-hmm. Which
Either
means
way,
that
that's
everything
why-
else around it and everything that can be removed from it might be still useful, but the motherboard itself just gone.
Yeah. So Erin's saying she is going to be buying a completely new system, and everything in that is my problem now. Because
You're the boyfriend that knows how to make computers, right?
So I'm going to be gutting the machine, replacing the motherboard eventually, and because most of the rest of the stuff in there is like no more than 2-3 years old.
Mahoshi 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh no, Mahoshi was always Bob's computer. This will be Project Tiny God 2. Because the first time I built a computer, it was called but the project name it ran under was Project Tiny God. It was named after a comic strip from Penny Arcade. And that was me spending one paycheck like every month to buy new parts to put into this machine. And it ran pretty good. I mean, this was back in the day that, the Pentiums, the Athlon processors had just become good. The only problem is I took an advice from a coworker on what power supply to buy. And while it was a decent power supply, it had a fan like you wouldn't believe. And that thing sounded like a jet engine. But that became my first system I had named Ranma.
I'm
Back
now
when I
brought
was
around to the
naming.
fact that I'm constantly reminded I have yet to name this computer that I'm currently sitting
See,
on.
I would be scared to name a computer Ranma because I would expect it to just by chance have water spilled on it on a regular basis.
Well, you see, that's the thing. I was going for a whole theme. My desktop was going to be called Ranma. My laptop was called Ryoga. And I always had it boot up with Ryoga screaming, "Where the hell am I now?" I was going to build a Linux server to network to my desktop, and I was going to call that Akane because getting the two to talk to each other was going to be a love-hate relationship. I was going to make a chat server called Shampoo. My data server, where I'd store all my information, was going to be called Nabiki. My kitchen server, which would hold all my recipes, was going to be Kasumi. And if I ever built a porn server, it was going to be called Haposai.
That
I
just
only
figures.
got as far as Ranma, Ryoga, and Nabiki. But then Ranma eventually had to be replaced, and Ryoga had to be replaced. And, it just became a cycle. And I stopped using the naming scheme, I think, like the generation before this one. So when Ryoga scrammed the day before a convention, remember that?
I think I vaguely remember that, yeah.
I was so pissed.
Yeah, I just remember you having every kind of issue.
Yep.
Right. Anything
Anyway.
else before we go to today's show?
I finally did a movie review, and I finished 2 video games in 1 week, but I'll be talking about those in detail later.
Nice.
Oh, and I'd meant to do it earlier, but I've just done it now. I have sent the three of you. I don't know how much it's going to come through as an American. Hopefully, it did come through as the right amount. But I've sent you all $50 Steam
Shit.
digital gift cards.
I got the pop up as we started the podcast. So I was like, oh wow, but thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is that it? Oh, yeah, that's it. Okay.
I was like, when I remembered, oh shit, Erin's computer's fucked. Should I actually give her one or not?
She's going to be bringing home a.
She'll be bringing home a
friend's
temporary desktop for about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually was going to be buying her a $100 computer chair for Christmas, but I hadn't ordered it yet because it was out of stock. So that just got converted to her new computer fund.
Gotcha. Speaking of Steam, actually, I'm spending 30 minutes a day working on filleting a certain glowing-eyed fish that the internet community might be familiar with.
Glowing-eyed fish.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Then I can fight the skeleton afterward. I embarked on my first playthrough, my first full playthrough, because the last time I got confused and stopped, of Undertale this week.
Oh, God.
And of course, I'm me, so I went straight for the genocide run straight off the bat.
You murder hobo.
Sounds like how my friend Chris is playing Cyberpunk. It's like, yeah, I could do this the rational way, but no, I'm playing this the murder train route.
They'll
So
never
that's
find
what-
the body in One
it's like-
Piece.
That's what I did with both KOTOR games. That's what I'm doing here.
I've tried playing the Knights of the Old Republic games. I always keep the first one at least, and I always keep getting caught at that thing where you have to defend the people from what was it, the weird were rats or whatever in the underground area. Every time I get there, I get my ass handed to me, and it's just like, what am I missing? What am I supposed to be doing before I end up here, stuck here? Then again, the last time I tried playing it, I also recall the visuals are very sluggish, and I couldn't even get that far because apparently you
Gotcha.
need fan patches. Unless they've finally fixed it, which I doubt.
The second game, I know Steam on like the 10th or whatever anniversary passed. They actually part of the official Steam package is one of the fixes to update the game. So that may or may not be. Well, if you're talking the first game, that's not it, but it's part of the second game.
Yeah, I'm talking about the first game.
The first game, I don't think I've ever used a mod or a patch. At least anything that didn't come with Steam.
So yeah, Thomas, after conversion, that became 3786.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it's like, I think originally I was gonna go for more, but then I looked at how much I had at the moment, and I'm like,
It's more than I would have
okay.
expected.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's a fair amount as far as I'm concerned,
can-
and I'm looking right
I
now.
can still, considering how much stuff is on sale right now on my wish list
Right?
for like $10 or less. Trust me, that could go a long way towards emptying my wish list.
It could go a long way, or I could just pick whatever's on my favorite, top of my favorites. That's on sale currently too.
Well, like I can buy Watch Dogs 2 right now for $10 on Steam because it's on sale for 80% off.
Oh, River City Girls! I've been meaning to get that. Mm.
And anyway, we should probably go on to the show now.
Yes, we should. On tonight's show, I was going to do this earlier, but we got sidetracked. We've got birthdays, one a bit. Big Finish news. There is no other news that was worth reporting. Geek Talk. I will be doing the summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings.
And
So
I'll go ahead and say it now before we get too far that next week we will not be streaming. It'll be our annual holiday or New Year's ish week off.
So anyway, getting into birthdays. Starting with 3 birthdays on December 17th, 2 of which are honorary. The first is the birthday of Bill Pullman, who played Oswald Danes in Torchwood Miracle Day, is better known as being Lone Star in Spaceballs, or the President in Independence Day. He turned 67. Also, the same day is the birthday of Ernie Hudson, who played Stuart Owens in Miracle Day, but's better known as Winston Zedmore in the Ghostbusters franchise. He turned 75. Also on the same day is the birthday of Jacqueline Hill, who played Barbara Wright from 1963 to 65. She would have been 91, but died in 1993 at the age of 63. On the 19th is the birthday of Matthew Waterhouse, who played Adric from 81 to 83. He turned 59. And then finally, on the 20th, the birthday of Jacqueline Pierce, who played Jacine in The Two Doctors in 1985, but is best known for her role as Servalan in Blake 7, or her role, I think, in many other television series of the age, I think including The Avengers, where I think she was a bad guy, because she was very good at playing bad guys. She would have been 77, but died in 2018 at the age of 74. So happy birthday, Bill, Ernie, Jacqueline, Matthew, and Jacqueline. Jacqueline and Jacqueline, hey. And finally, for our lost story, AUP is saddened to announce the death of Jeremy Bulloch, the original Boba Fett from the Star Wars franchise. Jeremy started acting at the age of 12 in a cereal commercial. Throughout his youth, he was often cast in children's shows such as Billy Bunter of Greyfriars School and The Checkered Flag, as well as films such as Carry On Teacher and Spare the Rod. In 1993, he played the role of Edwin in the camp musical Summer Holiday. It was shortly after that he made his first appearance in Doctor Who as the Rebel Tor in the serial The Space Museum, which we reviewed not that long ago. Following that, he was cast regularly in the soap opera The Newcomers until 1968. He returned to Doctor Who in 1973 to play the role of Hal in the serial The Time Warrior. He had a brief appearance as a crewman in the James Bond movie The Spy Who Loved Me in 1977, then was cast as his most famous role, Boba Fett, in the 1980s The Empire Strikes Back. In 1983, he would play Boba Fett again in Return of the Jedi, before returning to Bond in a minor role in Octopussy. Following that, he returned to TV as Edward of Wickham in Robin of Sherwood, before going on to bit parts in George and Mildred, The Professionals, Agony, Jenny's War, Casualty, The Bill, and Star Hike. He was also big on the Star Wars convention circuit until 2016, when he retired from the convention circuit due to his deteriorating condition. Jeremy Bulloch died in hospital on Thursday, the 17th of September, from health complications following his many years living with Parkinson's disease, according to his agent. He is survived by his wife, 3 sons, and 10 grandchildren.
That's a lot of grandkids.
Yeah. They were fruitful and multiplied.
Apparently. I think he's been in the wrong franchise.
Yeah, but it's also kind of sad since his role at Boba Fett has since been replaced in even the original trilogy by the guy that played Jango Fett.
I guess it's also kind of interesting in that sense that it's now, I guess retroactively, we've had 2 Star Wars deaths recently of guys who were dubbed over later.
Yeah.
Well, you can dub
who
the
had
person
both
all
been
you
on
want.
Doctor
It
Who
still
as
takes a
well.
lot to be a good suit actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, back when I originally saw the trilogy, no, it was Jeremy Bulloch's voice that was doing Boba Fett.
I remember of the 2 people that played him, either the voice or the suit actor, for years, one of them people couldn't figure out which it was, whether it was, but I couldn't who it was. I couldn't remember if it was the suit or the voice. I knew Jeremy Bulloch was one, but nobody seemed to know who the other one was.
As far as I'm aware, he was both the suit and the voice of Boba Fett.
I know
for sure Jeremy Bulloch was definitely the suit. I don't know for sure about his
So I think it was
voice.
the voice that nobody was sure who it was.
I'm pretty sure it was Bulloch originally.
That's a maybe just didn't go credited or something. I don't know. Because it very easily could have been redubbed by anybody because you wouldn't have gotten very clear audio through that helmet.
Actually, no. Apparently, he was just the voice.
Oh, he was just the voice.
Oh.
Okay.
The one scene in episode 5 was John Morton, who's the stuntman. Actually, I think he did the non-stunt acting in the suit.
I was gonna say because I'm pretty
And
sure he
then-
was in the suit. He even went to conventions in the suit.
Yeah, and then he did, and then he was like stuntman. So most of his like episode 6 appearance was probably stuntmen.
Except for the times where he was just standing around in the Jabba's palace.
Yeah, but the big part that they remember, the Starlight battle, that was probably
during the battle, because of course they're gonna have the stunt guy already strung up and everything. Yeah.
And now, of course, Boba Fett's done by Tamura Morrison.
Yeah.
Yep. because that was
Oh.
Jango Fett, and because, of course, the prequels revealed that he's basically just a clone of Jango.
Hmm.
They've decided that the original guy that played Jango Fett will now be doing Boba Fett, because that's who was doing Mandalorian and in the upcoming book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. The actual voice of Boba Fett was Jason Wingreen.
Oh,
So it was a different voice to begin with. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure on it.
Yes.
Yeah. I do find it funny though that apparently there's a headcanon for some people that because Jeremy Bulloch played an Imperial officer in Empire, that the idea is that it's Boba Fett just out of like at least back then, people headcanon that it's like it was Boba Fett out of costume disguised
I
as.
could see that. If I were in the 80s Star Wars scene, I would have come to the same theory.
So it's just Wingreen's voice that they replaced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bullock is still forever immortalized in those two movies. Because he is the physical representation on screen.
Until now, where they're actually doing Tamora Morrison doing both the suit and the voice, because
Until, of course, stunts, but yeah.
they've even cleaned up his armor, so.
Yeah, I heard that's a thing that happened. I haven't seen it yet. But anyways.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm actually going to talk about it in talk.
Oh, was there something I missed? I'll add that.
Oh, it wasn't. It's being typed in right now.
I just suddenly remembered I finished watching it because I finished watching it last week.
So it's a good thing I was planning to step away and refill my coffee during Geek Talk then.
I'm not going to spoiler it. I'm just going to talk about the quality. And the acting.
As long as you don't say who the actors are, because apparently there's a lot of spoilers that have happened.
No. I will say I'll talk about it later. Like I said, I completely forgot I finished watching that this week. But yeah, we have time. I'll add it to the list. So let's move on quickly to our Big Finish new releases.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is Torchwood: The Crown with Rowena Cooper, who I believe was the one that played Queen Victoria back in 2006's Doctor Who.
I was going to say, she seems familiar to me, but I can't place her.
As far as I'm aware, that's who it was on the cover.
If it is, then she's also in the Faceless ones back in the 60s.
Yeah. And then we've got A Short Trip, The Shattered Hourglass, with Neve McIntosh, and that's apparently a 10th Doctor audio.
Oh, is she playing Vastra?
No, it's A Short Trip, so it's a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I'm aware, she's narrating it. It might have Vastra in it, but as the big face on the front is David Tennant, so.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, there are no free audios this week because they said that last week's was the last one.
Last week's was going to finish it, yep.
All right, let's move on to Geek Talk. And as I mentioned, we'll start off with The Mandalorian. So this is the end of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's been an 8-episode run, both seasons. And yeah, it's hard to talk without getting spoiler heavy, so I'm going to be as generic as possible. The writing in this is very good. It's not quite as good as the previous season, but it's because they don't have Taika Waititi doing anything in this one. He was only in there for season 1, and he has that offbeat sense of humor that this series was kind of missing, but they added some more drama to it, which worked.
I was going to say, offbeat humor is okay sometimes, but not all the time.
Oh, it worked when they had it in season 1. All the acting is really, really good. All the guest stars are really, really good. And yes, there were a few of them. As well as some returning characters from other Star Wars franchises. Again, I can't spoiler who,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say there are some returning faces to make surprises. As well as some recurring characters that came back from the previous season.
Mm-hmm.
Special effects are, of course, Star Wars grade. They're all really good. All in all, I'm glad it's going. It's gone the way it has. They are basically using the Mandalorian now as a launch platform for their own MCU equivalent of Star Wars television shows that are going to be on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I saw that announcement.
Yeah, there are all going to be a whole bunch of.
Disney Plus is tired of only having one show at a time, I guess.
They announced they're going to be doing the Book of Boba Fett, which is going to be interesting because people freaking love Boba Fett, so that's going on. God, I can't even remember all the series that they've announced. They're doing
I
one,
know
I
they're
think, with
doing
Lando
a
Calrissian.
yeah, one with Ahsoka.
There was one that
Something
was speculated
an
to
animated.
be...
I know there's going to be an animated one for a group from the Clone Wars, I think, called the Bad Bunch.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's a Clone Wars spinoff.
Mm.
But yeah, there
Yeah,
was one
that
called
was a
Raiders or
ton.
something, and people were speculating that a Mandalorian character was going to lead that.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there is a bunch of crossovers with guest characters between the shows, since they're all supposed to be happening in the same time period. This 5 years after Jedi.
Something like that, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I thought they were all going to be spread across the timeline because Bad Batch, it makes most sense to be before A New Hope.
I don't know about that one.
Okay.
But I do know that the Boba Fett one, the Ahsoka Tano one, the theorized Luke Skywalker one, are all supposed to be happening in the same time period.
Yeah, same time period, like immediately after the events of Mandalorian.
Okay,
so the Obi-Wan
one.
Oh yeah,
that one would be set earlier, but yeah, but
the Obi-Wan one should be probably.
Actually, I say it has to be earlier, but it could always be a Highlander sort of thing where it's somebody reminiscing about Obi-Wan, like Ghost Obi-Wan reminiscing about his life while teaching somebody else.
So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes on, because there's going to be, I can guess where some of the plot lines are going. The fact is that have you seen at least last season's Mandalorian, Bill?
No, I have not, because I haven't gotten Disney Plus yet. Although I probably
yeah,
will
me and
soon.
Bill are in the same boat where we've been waiting for Mandalorian to finish up. I just haven't had time to set
you
up
don't even want spoilers from series 1.
Nope. If anything, I'd love you to rank what you think of which one is better, just to know the trend of what how the quality's going. But that's all I would want to know.
Which one is better as far as
season 1 or 2?
I liked season 1 a little better, but I liked the humor. But not that. But mind you, it's very close.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I assume it's like a decimal point difference.
Got you. So it's not one of those shows where it had an okay first season and a great second, and it's also not one of the shows that had a great first and a terrible second.
Oh no.
No. Matter of fact, aren't most of the people behind this also the same people behind like Rebels and Clone Wars? Some of them, not all of them. Hello? Did we already have our first hiccup? Oh wow, it is literally just Discord having an issue. Everything else seems to be running fine. Oh, nope, now it's spreading.
Over
Also,
their
I guess-
comms as they keep checking in,
Oh,
and
there we
it's
go.
just hysterical. So it's just one of those moments of just pure humor, and you know if you've seen Thor Ragnarok, you know what that humor's like,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's
I
like,
guess-
and that's completely absent in the second season.
I guess also keep in mind that I guess like primarily I guess because it's streaming, the episodes are just as long as they need to be. So like I think when I've scrolled through, because I haven't finished season 1 yet, but I know like the first episode of season 2 is like almost an hour long, and some episodes are as short as like a half hour or so.
They try to aim
varying
around
lengths.
45 minutes, but it's like plus or minus 10
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah. It's like, yeah, the episode's just as long as it needs to
They're-
be rather than meeting an arbitrary length.
They're like, we don't have a fit number of commercial slots.
Yeah,
Well,
they don't, and they don't need a time slot either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That
thinking
was
I might wait to do Mandalorian when I actually have the time. Like, I might actually fit into like say a couple episodes in a day and do a reaction / review of them.
It
It's kinda
is
what I'm thinking.
it is literally the best stuff that's coming out for Star Wars in the last few years.
Oh yeah, as far as
I
I've been
gue-
hearing,
I
it's at
guess-
least as good, if not better, than the prequels at this rate.
Oh, it's better than the prequels.
I know
the prequels were garbage. The sequels were garbage. This
The
is decent.
prequels were under the bar, and then the sequels are
I like
again already. Computer, what the hell are you doing right now? Is it really just Discord? I think it's really just Discord.
stuff.
To
It's
the
Rebels
just
was
Skywalker
popular.
saga. And Rogue One, I think, it's the most well regarded of the Disney era movies, and that
And
has
you know-
nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
And do you know what the Mandalorian has in common with Clone Wars and Rebels? Same executive producer, same showrunner.
Yeah, I was trying to say earlier before, but Discord keeps cutting me off all of a sudden in the last couple of minutes. But yeah, weren't the people behind Mandalorian the same people behind those?
Yeah,
I did hear
at least one of
Filoni
them.
was involved. I wasn't sure to what extent.
Yeah, he is one of the co-creators. It's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Okay, it's official.
A lot of Clone Wars and Rebels as kind of backup lore on these, but it still makes it awesome.
Be right back. Sorry, folks. Discord is being a complete pain. At least it's not right in the middle of the review. Still waiting for Discord to reload here. Which I think is a sign that, yes, it probably was Discord and probably
For
needed
special
a reboot.
effects, but please do not let him direct.
Hello. I thought I was in. Did already food bar. I'm about to have a meltdown, folks. I hope you don't mind. Seriously, the second I get back into this godforsaken chat room, everything just melts down again.
We can't hurt him, and his light is on constantly.
There. Jesus.
There we go. Were you just stuck in like
I don't
Discord
know.
limbo?
I don't know what's going on. All I know is that Discord's being a pain tonight. It's like the third. I got cut up for like the third time. I went, off the hell of it. I'm just restarting it. Restarted
we heard
Discord, came
that.
back. I heard about a second of you guys talking, and then it hung again.
Ah,
It's
Well, yeah,
literally just Discord. Discord, for whatever reason, is just being the biggest pain in the neck in the universe right now.
well, that's a Discord in a nutshell. It used to be
Mhm.
great, and now it used to suck, and then it used to be great, and now it's sliding back to suck because it's taking more and more resources.
Because some damn fool decided they needed to add a store to it.
What we were just talking about is the fact that George Lucas is apparently on the set in The Mandalorian, but only in an advisor.
Are you serious, Discord?
Want him to
together with an
direct.
idea and letting them make a movie. I mean, not to say that he didn't do anything after hiring people, but I think the best thing he did was putting together the right team. So a lot of his original ideas were trimmed in the writing and directing process.
Yeah.
Had gotten Steven Spielberg.
That again. Oh,
yeah.
Is he back?
Turning it off and turning it on again. Is it done being a shit? No, it's not. Of course it's not.
This may be the.
Is it done yet? What the hell is Discord doing? It's only Discord. Discord is the centerpiece of all my pain.
You all right?
Hell if I know. I'll be on the wrong in 5 minutes again.
So, as I was saying, imagine a universe in which George Lucas had gotten Steven Spielberg to direct Star Wars. Just saying. Those two worked great on Raiders, but yeah.
What's the gritty? Well, I don't want to take us even farther off track, so never mind my question. Because I feel like we've been partially Discord problems. I know we've spent more than 5 minutes on.
Oh yeah. I've been bullshitting for about 3 minutes now because the next part's supposed to be Matt. So
yeah, how much of the upcoming stuff is supposed to be me? But heaven forbid if Discord wants to actually behave itself for more than 1 minute.
Right. Is it seeming stable enough to try go ahead?
I don't know, because in 30 seconds it can change its mind. I'm literally just about ready to just fucking quit for the whole night because I'm just sick and tired of Discord just being a pain. That's all it's been for like the last 10 minutes. At least it feels like 10 minutes because it feels like it takes for eternity for it to behave again. Anyways, it's been long enough now. We can maybe give it a try, but heaven forbid if it'll stay that way. Did it alright just hang again?
No,
we can still hear you.
Yeah, so the next
it just went completely quiet. I'm like, oh, for fuck.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if we want, we could try get through Geek Talk and then give you time to like reset and then start up again for the review.
There's not really much to reset. It'll be a completely different episode if I can just completely cut everything off. It's either what I've done already or I completely reboot the computer, and even that's not guaranteed because it's Discord.
Mm.
It's still going to be acting like Discord when I come back. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it seems to have finally gone for a longer than 1 minute stretch without pissing off. All right.
So, one.
So Christmas Chronicles then?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I finally got around to doing another movie review. I'm doing them partially as a reaction and then giving my opinions on the movie afterwards. So long and short of it is, about 3 years ago-ish, Kurt Russell agreed with Netflix to do a Christmas movie where he played Santa, and that was Christmas Chronicles. It was a pretty decently done Christmas special. I felt it was particularly harmless and usually, for the most part, very entertaining. So this year, like I think it was late November, early this month, at some point they finally released a sequel now. So there's a Christmas Chronicles 2. It still stars Kurt Russell and the kids from the previous movie as well as their mother, but also his wife Goldie Hawn is a part of it as Mrs. Claus. And she actually gets to be a main character instead of a guest cameo at the very end of the movie. And there's a little more plot involved. I will say that while the movie itself is still pretty entertaining, I will say that the number one problem I have with this movie is that the script got dumbed down a bit because it's a lot of safe for the children action going on.
Mm.
Whereas the previous movie was a little more focused on the build up and arc of the characters as being serious characters. This one, the build up's already been there, so what do we fill it in with? Let's make up a story where this one character turned bad and they're hoping that they'll turn good someday, and somehow they're involved with some sort of grab for power in the North Pole, and then the kids are forced into family-friendly action sequences and other stuff. That's basically what this amounts to. It's not bad. It's not terrible by any sense, but I do feel it's a bit weaker than the first movie. So if I was to give them any hints, if they are going to go forward with a third one with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, be careful what you're writing, because it became kind of threadbare in the second one. So be careful what you're doing. Maybe make sure it's a little more character focused, and go forward with that third one, because a good third one to finish it up as a trilogy would actually be kind of nice. Any other questions you have other than that?
Not really.
Yeah, it like I said, it's mostly harmless. I just feel it's a little, it's not even a massive downgrade. It's just a little bit of a downgrade because, again, less character development and more sequences to make the kids do things in the movie. The little kids will enjoy it, but I think that the parents will be bored.
So basically, it's more of a straight up kids movie than a family movie.
It definitely leans more towards a kids movie than a family movie from the first one. Which I think is a detriment to it, because it was actually a pretty strong family movie in the first one. So
I guess in a way you could even argue that's sort of like what happened with like the Tim Allen Santa Claus thing.
Yeah, that one though became a noticeable downgrade like really quickly, as I recall.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, you can tell at least the majority of the people behind the first one are still behind the second one.
Okay.
Like even down to the elves look almost exactly the same. It's obviously the same digital people behind it. It's still a Netflix original. So it's whatever company that made it for Netflix. And again, they also got all the actors and actresses back, so they kept the cast and even added some new people. I can't say that Tim Allen ones did that except for keeping Tim Allen around. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't as good as the first one, but it's still an okay movie. It'll definitely entertain the kids, and the parents will be okay with it for the most part. But yeah, there's definitely there's also a few jokes here or there where it's just kind of like But I will say, also one thing that this movie does have that the first one doesn't have is that Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn as the clauses in this one was actually pretty good. They played off of each other really well. Probably helps that they're technically a couple.
Well, I guess yeah, but it also just shows that they actually have on-screen chemistry, which
That
not
too.
every.
I think this is like maybe their third time as a couple together on screen. So they don't do it very often
actor
either.
couple is gonna have. Probably because they figure like not working together as often probably helps.
Maybe
the relationship.
maybe they just don't feel like they should
Yeah.
need to be a couple every time either.
Yeah. Don't want to get
say being a
shoehorned
couple
into
on
it.
screen for the projects they like kind of deal.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I assume we're moving on.
Yeah. Probably be moving on then.
Alrighty. So,
Take us to
Danganronpa.
video game.
Yep. So yeah, I finally finished up the Danganronpa franchise, at least as far as the primary plot stuff goes. I don't know where I'm fully sitting on with this, but I would say at least at the moment, without replaying the others, because I feel like it's been a while, although I did get through all of them this year. This almost feels to me like the weakest in some ways. And maybe it's just because the characters aren't as compelling, although, funnily enough, that's almost kind of a plot thing that, like, one of the characters is supposed to be the ultimate detective, but he's like, well, I mean, I solved like one case and that's it. And like some other stuff where like one of the other characters is an inventor, but she invents a ton of stuff that's basically useless. Or I think it's like there's a conversation you can have with her at some point where she says that she built like a gun that or something that can teleport only underwear, and it's like, and even the character you're playing as is like, wait, so you invented teleportation technology, but it only works on underwear? What the, like, what?
That is the most anime thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean that specific inventor character is like the horny one the whole time, basically. Like, of everyone, that's like her thing, is that she's just constantly swearing and also making all the pretty much all of the sex references. God, what's his name? Kokichi, who's supposed to be the ultimate supreme leader or whatever, is the worst character in this game. He's like, honestly, God, Byakuya from the first game, a bit in Ultra Despair Girls and the Danganronpa 3 anime, I used to think was the worst character in the franchise, and then this guy came along and was like, oh no, this guy is 10 times worse.
Hold my beer.
I mean, they try to do a thing with him at one point to be like, oh well, actually, and I'm like, no, sorry, too late. You've already, like, the character lost me very early and never got me back. So yeah, the while I won't go into it, the twist of the whole thing was very much, well, there's kind of two, because there's a twist and then there's another one on top of that later, and it's just like, oh, the first one I was like, oh, okay, fuck, and then the second one happens and I'm like, I don't know if I like this one or not, because it's very turns the whole franchise kind of upside down, and it's kind of like, I'm not entirely sure what I feel about this, but leaning more towards negative, but not like, oh, this makes me like feel like playing these was stupid or anything. It's just like, oh, what did we have to go in this direction? But anyway, um overall it was nice to play, although fuck me, do they really drag the trials out in this one. I swear, all I did on like last Friday, I got it to just before the last trial started, played it through. It was daylight when I started the first trial, and I only took a pause at one point to eat. And I was skipping through I was not waiting for the voice acting because I was playing it with the Japanese audio anyway. I was like, I'll let the text come up and then I'll like just skip, and then I'll keep doing that so I can at least read it and just keep going. Even then, I swear to God, it was daylight when I started. It was dark when I finished. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this took like 4 hours, it felt like, to get through the end of the game. Like, the final trial and the epilogue. It was just like, what the fuck? That is way too fucking long. And like, as someone pointed out in a Twitch chat that I was in after I finished, we even pointed out that all these little mini games that they add to the trials, which I assume they add to make it so like you actually have something to do and aren't just reading text / listening to voice acting for that length of time. It's like if they cut all those out, some of these trials would maybe take an hour, or like maybe an hour and 15 or something, but they'd be way shorter. I mean, I'm pretty sure the anime adaptation to the first game gets through trials in like maybe an episode sometimes, maybe 2. But even then, it's like, holy crap, this last trial was so fucking long. And like, they add intermissions in the middle where you can just save and stop. But even then, it's just like, fucking hell, they shouldn't be this long. I mean, it's basically a visual novel, so it's like, just make the trial go as quickly as possible, guys. It's such a commitment. And like, maybe it was because I was just trying to breeze through it because I wanted to get through the game so I could say I just got through the whole franchise in this year. But yeah, if you've got the time commitment, I'd say get through it. But also just remember that if you actually give any semblance of a crap about the overarching plot, then it goes the first game, the second game, the spin-off Ultra Despair Girls, the Danganronpa 3 anime, and then this. And you kind of need to, but not really. It's kind of weird because the anime is essentially, the Danganronpa 3 anime is essentially, as I brought up when I covered it in Geek Talk a while back, is kind of like the end of the story arc previously, and then this is kind of a new one, but also related to those. So, yeah, like I would say give the franchise a try. The only one that I would kind of ignore or just kind of watch, so you can like, because it depends on the person, but Ultra Despair Girls is the only one I would maybe skip if you are someone who has very specific like trauma stuff that you've gone through, especially playing that in 2020, because I remember bringing up when I played it that I was playing it and then Tim died and I was like, no, I'm taking like several months off this game, thank you very much, because no, this was not the game I should be playing after that happened. And then got through it, and then got through the whole franchise now, and yeah, so like, best for at least Ultra Despair Girls to be in the right frame of mind when playing it, but the rest arguably you because the whole thing is like, yeah, they're putting you through a lot of shit, but it's hopeful ending, sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say give it a try, but it really depends. At the very least, watch like Let's Plays of it or something on YouTube. So that's it.
Alrighty.
All right. So with this, we go back to Matt.
Back to me. I have a couple of things to bring up. First on the list seems to be SteamWorld Heist. So previously, I had played the SteamWorld Dig. SteamWorld Dig is a like an action platforming game, but the main thrust of the story is that your character's uncle has gone missing, and he ran the gem slash metal mine that's underneath this town, and it's like a Wild West town, but all the main characters are all steam robots. They all have an AI and everything else. They just run on steam, and the main currency of the world is water. So we left Dig with a bit of a hanging plot thread of what actually happened to the main character. We're still not sure. Heist is kind of like a in between Dig 1 and Dig 2, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't have any plot relevance other than being part of the same universe. You are playing Captain Piper. She is supposedly a female robot. I don't know how you tell steam robots differ apart of male and female other than maybe voice or something. I don't know. But essentially, she runs her own ship. She was a more of a run and gun pirate type, but apparently the attacks from these new steam powered robots called Scrappers has caused a lot of issues. These Scrappers, we find out as the plot advances, are actually essentially dead steam bots that have been put back together by a piece of technology from the deep space that was brought in by the diesel run royalists. Yes, there's a group called the Royalists, and they run on diesel instead of steam. And they're also nice and shiny and chrome and all that good stuff. So the ragtag group of steambots decide to first take out the Scrappers, where they find out what's actually going on. And of course, this thing bringing steam robots back to life and mixing all the parts together, not actually just bringing them back together as they used to be, adds to the fact of why they look so monstrous, why they're all crazy, and why they all look like they're basically scrap metal, because technically they are. They are all once dead robots now brought back. In the midst of figuring all this out, you come across another robot that's partially made up bits and pieces, but seems to be from some sort of different technology. It actually requires a power core, and this is part of the DLC in order to get this robot up and running. And when you do, he's definitely different technology. He's not the normal steam or the diesel robots, but that gets introduced a little bit later. You go through this first area, get rid of the Scrappers. You get to the next area, you run to the Royalists, and yeah, they're a bunch of pig-headed assholes who basically treat all the other robots like dirt and are trying to steal up all the ground and fragments of Earth, because Earth is a giant collection of fragments now instead of a whole planet. They're basically trying to run the control of all the fragments of Earth, as well as trying to not only take all the water for themselves, making it harder for steambots to actually even run, but they're also been pushing out into deep space where they've been trying to find weird technology, and apparently the Queen has some design that she wants to get out of the stuff that she's been finding from deep space, but it leads up to a battle between her and your cast of characters as they find out that apparently a ship has been brought back from deep space and looks like nothing else that they've seen around here. Finally getting to the ship, you come in contact with another steambot that tells you where you can possibly help find the prisoner that was taken from the ship. You finally get there after fighting the Queen, and it turns out it's called a Voltbot. It's from deep space, runs on a power core like the robot that you found that's actually friendly, and it's a part of a hive mind essentially, and it goes back out to the hive mind to wake everybody up and declare complete and total war against the Steam bots, because they're apparently a part of a collective that were supposed to get rid of the Steam bots, and they've been basically sleeping on the job for a few decades. So it goes back out to deep space, and you have to chase after them, and that's where I hit my problem with SteamWorld Heist. After all the stuff you've gone through and all the troubles and everything else, the Vault bots are the most impossible pieces of work. They have, first of all, too many hit points, so even though you're upgrading weapons the entire game, they're not remotely easy to get rid of. Even when you're shooting the little guys, you have to have some sort of like damage bonus or something to get rid of these guys quickly. You have these really big guys. There's also these new things that they have called, which are essentially like force fields. They have these little power cells that essentially give anything nearby a shield, which makes them completely invulnerable to any kind of damage you can throw at them. So you have to get rid of the orbs or pull the enemies far enough away that they're no longer near these power orbs to get a shield. And then to top it all off, you also have the problem of constantly respawning enemies, which was already a problem to begin with. But then you got ones that are basically constantly dropping these little floating mines, and it's just... I practically had a meltdown on a live stream just going, you know what, I think we're done. It's just like, I was on the verge, and I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, I think SteamWorld's Heist is done. I got 2/3 of the way through, and that last third is just a brick wall. I don't know what the strategy is for that last third of the game, but I don't know where to look for it either. And it's kind of an older game now at this point to some degree because it's an indie game, and yeah, as much as I like Dig and I hope Dig 2 is still good, Heist just left me really wanting something that they didn't give me. And it just became so obnoxiously hard that it kind of became undesirable to keep playing. So yeah, that's been my experience with SteamWorld Heist, sadly. Any questions?
None that I can think of.
All right. Yeah. So sadly, that I wish I could say something more positive, but like I said, I'm just going to ignore Heist and hope that Dig 2 is still good. And if Dig 2 disappoints me, well, I guess I'm done with that company. But moving on to my last bit here, I decided to also play the 2009 Ghostbusters the video game. This came out in late 2009. I actually got a physical copy for my PC, and that's what I ran this game off of, because apparently the remaster, at least the last time I saw it about a month or two ago, still has bugs where the cutscenes don't actually play. It literally just shows you a static image of the firehouse with dialogue going across the bottom that's supposed to be on the cutscene. Yeah, that officially just made me go, oh, hell no. Even if it was available on Steam, I wouldn't be buying it. But apparently it was only available on the Epic Store, which is also like the taste of sin in of itself. So, not until that sucker comes out on Steam and is actually fixed would I dare to buy that version of the game. So what I did is I played my physical copy, which allows you to install the full game, 5 gigs, onto your hard drive, and you don't even need the disc anymore. You can just put it back in the case and put the case aside, and it's all nice and happy. So you don't even need to wear out the disc playing the game. I got to the end boss with 0 technical issues. I love this game. The sense of horror is still there. There's a sense of action as you're battling with multiple ghosts alongside all 4 of the original Ghostbusters. There's a little bit of lore sprinkled throughout from the previous 2 movies. The containment unit where they keep the ghosts looks a little bit more like the cartoon version, but not completely. It still looks like a real thing that they could have made on a set if they wanted to. But it's definitely bigger and more advanced. And the main character you play in Ghostbusters the video game is the Rookie. You are the new guy they have hired on. they want some extra help, but also the Ghostbusters have the plan of possibly spreading out and franchising and pushing out new parts of the franchise out to different cities. But before they can even get into this, there's a supernatural event that starts at the New York City Museum and just makes this huge psychic wave that is felt all the way out by the firehouse where the Ghostbusters are at. Long story short, trying to also not give away all the plot points, they get dragged into a new adventure that does seem to be focused on Shandor, the psycho that made the additions to the apartment where Dana Barrett lived in the first movie. Apparently, he's added extra bits to several key locations throughout the city, including something that's hidden out in the middle of the Hudson River, which you have to discover as you go through the game. You do get to bust ghosts, you get to set traps, you get to pull ghosts into traps, you get to deal with spirits causing physical manifestations, which still require you to use varying different types of proton pack enhancements. And also even you get to use the now green good slime to help undo black slime and other issues that pop up throughout the game. Also, one of the things that I really like about this game that I still don't see in many games at all right now, there's zero HUD in this game. It's a third-person action-adventure game. Zero HUD. Your backpack, your proton pack is your HUD. There's 2 green bars in one section of the backpack. If they start to go yellow and then deep red, that means that you've been taking a lot of physical damage and you need to take cover. And you can also see there's another meter that goes up and down, and that's how much ammo you currently have active in your proton pack before it needs to cool down. So you can also, again, quickly step aside, hit the vent button, which is more or less like a reload button, and either you'll regain slime or you'll vent the proton pack so it won't go into meltdown mode and force a vent, which takes longer than just you manually venting it. So there's a little key to that too, because if you take too long and you're constantly overheating, you're slowing down your ability to take care of enemies. And believe me, even on normal mode, this game knocked me out at least a good 5 or 6 times. They are not pulling punches that much in this game, even on normal mode. I will also say though, in particular, of all the Ghostbusters, Ray pissed me off the most. Ray is such a turtle. He hides in a corner and then is slow to react to anything else that he needs to do, including when you're knocked out. Because there's a thing where if your teammates are knocked out, you can just walk up to them, push E really quick, and you'll get them back on their feet. Ray takes forever. He's the slowest one to do it, and yet he's the one that you stick with the most. Just half the game is just me seeing the ground going, Ray! That being said, some definite major characters come back for this. If you're even just looking at the image I have up on the stream right now, Slimer is in this game. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes back. I don't think they showed on this particular promo image, but also the librarian from the first movie comes back. She's referred to as the one that got away. And there's actually some plot based around her too. But yeah, I think the plot was a solid go. I'm a little bit about some of the extra proton pack variants outside of the main one and the slime one, but they do have their uses. The 4th variant actually was really handy in the last boss fight for me. It seemed particularly built to help speed you through that fight as long as you know what you're doing with it. The horror elements are still there. The comedy elements are still there. They got all the 4 original Ghostbusters to come back, including some of the extra staff, including Oh, what's his name? The prick from the first movie.
Uh,
I just saw the movie like 2-3 weeks ago, and I can't remember his name right now.
Walter Peck.
Peck. They actually got the actor back for Peck to do the voice work for him. They got the original actress back for Janine to do Janine's lines, and also there are occasionally points where you get to hang around the firehouse for a few minutes and check things out. Not only does Janine have lines throughout, just sitting in that hub area, but she gets more lines as the plot progresses, including talking to her family members about not maybe being late for Thanksgiving, depending on what goes on. But also, the picture of Vigo is in the firehouse, and you can actually walk up to him and get dialogue from him. Your shoes are untied. Just like look down with my third-person camera. You lying prick. Talk to him again. Oh, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna light this painting on fire. But yeah, absolutely really good game. I will say the only problem I had with this, with the physical version for PC, is that the final boss, for whatever reason, a few moments into his fight, got some weird graphical slowdowns for some reason. Like I was down to almost 5 to 10 frames a second at one point for whatever reason. But it seems to always be also when he's in the middle of the fight and he's doing this thing where he's trying to regain hit points. That's for whatever reason there's an effect there that slows it down. Maybe that's something that was a bug still in the physical version that I'm not aware of. But also at the same time, I didn't know where to look for a update if there was one for the game. But that being said, he only knocked me out once, and I got back up again and managed to figure out how to take care of him and got my ending. So I was happy. Overall, very solid game. I would still highly recommend it. I wonder if they're going to tease out any elements in the next movie, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it. It could be distant enough anyways that they could just not mention it and still be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I remember seeing it mentioned in a review of this somewhere that like elements in this game were taken from like the development hell script for a potential
Yeah, I think
Ghostbusters 3.
some elements of this were part of a development hell script for an intended Ghostbusters 3 that never came to be. But then even after this game came out, it became suddenly a popular enough thing, which is why Sony was interested in doing a Ghostbusters movie. Then they paraded around the idea of a number 3 for a while before just outright canceling it after Egon's actor died, and then proceeded to do a reboot instead. Bad Sony. Bad. No biscuits. And apparently they've learned that lesson because they've decided to try and attempt a 3 now instead. We'll see how that goes. I'm not entirely holding my breath on that one either, but I'm give it a benefit of a doubt. A lot of people who were at least tied to the first 2 are still part of it, so we'll see how it goes.
Provided cinema doesn't die before it comes out.
Oh, it doesn't matter if cinema dies, it's still going to be released digitally somewhere. Whoever gets the digital rights to Ghostbusters 3 first, you'll have my money for a month.
Anyway, that's it for Ghostbusters.
Yep, real fun. Really liked it. Still highly suggested. I don't know about the remaster though.
All right, so I guess we're up to the episode summary. Can you get ready for that, Matt?
Okay. All right, stopwatch is ready. You good?
Second.
Okay.
Wetting my throat.
Double checking myself. Yeah, I'm out of soda. My top Pepsi's all gone.
All right.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so on the TARDIS, Romana finds a box of junk that the Doctor has stored somewhere. The Doctor tries to justify keeping it. Eventually, Romana comes up with an item that apparently is a distress call transmitter receiver that the Doctor has removed from the TARDIS at some point during during his travels. The Doctor eventually concedes to having it put back in. It promptly receives a signal that drags the TARDIS off course. They arrive on the planet Chloris, which is a very appropriate name as the planet is very, very green. The Doctor leaves the TARDIS and is quickly fascinated by this piece of shell-like wall, which the Doctor hypothesizes is a part of an egg and is sending the signal. Romana tish-toshes this and promptly wanders off. The Doctor is then set upon by a bunch of killer tumbleweeds. Yes, you heard it here, folks. Apparently, according to the person that eventually gets them off the Doctor, they're called wolfweeds. Yeah. The Doctor is quickly captured, along with Romana. While Romana gets to walk free, the Doctor's put in stocks for whatever reason, as they are basically frog marched down to towards the apparently where the ruling palace is. Along the way, they are ambushed by bandits because the guards were completely unprepared to defend themselves from bandits in an area they know to be infested by them. The bandits make off with all the metal in the group, plus Romana for some reason, and they take off into the wilderness. The Doctor requests that they go after her, but they're basically said, no, she's already dead. And they take the Doctor back to the palace. The Doctor almost escapes, but is before he can, is found by the leader of this planet. Is it Adrasta? Was that it?
I believe so.
All right. Who basically starts quizzing him on that shell-like wall he was looking at. When the Doctor speculates that it's alive, the lady is suddenly very interested, questions her own engineers, and when they say that that's impossible, she decides to put one to death. When you're put to death on this planet, you're basically shoved into a pit that has a lot of ugly noises. While this is going on, Romana has managed to free herself from the bandits, convince them to blow on a metal whistle she keeps in, which summons K9, which stuns the leader, and they escape, heading back to where they were before. The Doctor sees this engineer thrown into the pit, and Romana shows up in time to attempt to free the Doctor. K9 manages to stun one guard who falls into the pit, and lights a tumbleweed on fire before K9 is quickly swallowed up by the weeds and covered in weird web-like stuff. Yes, apparently they're not only wolf weeds, they're spider wolf weeds. Joy! The Doctor, realizing that that one of them is going to be expendable by this evil bitch of a leader, chooses to jump into the pit, saving Romana's life. His intention is to hang on to the side of the pit and crawl up after they all leave, but after Adrasta leaves some parting words and shoves some dirt down the side of the pit, he has fallen to the bottom. He initially thinks he's dead because the two people down there that just fell are already dead. But he is quickly saved by apparently a court astrologer that fell down there some time ago, or was pushed down there, we should say. But the astrologer has managed to live in one of the side corridors. They are they start discussing on what this could be, but are quickly come across by the creature, who, once revealed, causes several Japanese hentai fans to pump the air in glee. As yes, it is a giant green monster with a large ahem. Meanwhile, at the palace, the leader wants K9 taken apart for the metal. Romana managed to convince her that he would be more useful intact. She tries to use him to stun the guards to leave, but unfortunately, they were prepared for this, and they're quickly recaptured, and they are going to be sent down the pit to kill this creature. The doctor and the astrologer are what was his name? Organon. Really? Are quick to discover that the creature doesn't like having its bits burned. And after it retreats, chases it down the way. The doctor attempts to communicate first by trying to use the Vulcan mind meld on it. And then when that doesn't work, attempts to give the creature a blowjob. I'm not kidding. Eventually,
It's one of the censored pictures in the title card.
Yes, it is.
Eventually, some communication is established, and the creature seems to indicate it wants a shield that the doctor had seen earlier in Adrasta's throne room. However, basically realizing that the doctor that he's basically being sent to go fetch it, the doctor manages to escape, but not before he manages to steal another piece of what looks like eggshell from the tunnel. He quickly runs into Romana and the group who are down there, and while this is all going on, the bandits decide to vary banditry with a bit of burglary and decide to rob the Lady Adrasta's area. One of the things they try to make off with is this shield. And they also escape into the mine, thinking that it might lead to her vault. Well, while the two are arguing over who's going to kill what, two of the bandits are quickly overcome by the power of plot and are mind controlled into start bringing the shield to this creature. Once this happens, the creature is able to communicate using the larynx of whoever touches the shield. It identifies itself as Erato, the ambassador from a nearby planet. Anybody remember the name? Tithonus.
Mm-hmm.
And that he had come to negotiate a trade agreement with them because they need chlorophyll and they have metal. And Adrasta, who has the monopoly of metal on the planet, decided to respond to this by chucking it down the pit and throwing people at it. Adrasta tries to say that this is fake news and that this is all fake news, but they force her to touch it, and that comes out of her very mouth. Her huntsman, the one in charge of the wolfweeds, actually agrees to pay rational listen to this, for once a bad guy that actually is rational. And after identifying this, the creature rolls over Adrasta, killing her, rolls over the wolfweeds, and eats them, being the first real meal he's had in 15 years. And quickly talks to the doctor about getting himself lifted out of this pit. The doctor, however, realizes that Erato's not telling the whole truth. They do lift him out of the pit, but the doctor keeps the piece of a shell that he found, which is apparently Erato's photon drive. Erato's in a hurry to leave the planet because it seems that because he had been captured there for 15 years, his homeworld had declared war on Chloris and had basically fired a neutron star at Chloris's sun to set it supernova. The doctor decides that since you did this, you have to fix this, and manages to convince Erato to help him divert the star, where the Doctor would be using the TARDIS, and Erato would be basically spinning an aluminum web around it. This plan works, but barely. The TARDIS does have to dematerialize to prevent itself being hit with the star. But this works. They set out, and the Doctor returns to Chloris briefly to give them a new and updated treaty. End of story.
All right. 10 minutes, 9 seconds.
I knew I'd be long on that because I'd rather be funny. All right, so let's talk about what we liked about this serial. Matt, you're first.
If it isn't Bill, it's me lately.
Yeah, when's the last time Thomas went first?
About 3 weeks ago.
I'm trying to think. General thing I liked about this episode. I have to say, I feel like the Doctor is a little more in his normal place in this one. There's a lot of genuine Doctor moments a lot of the time. He's having good moments with Romana. He's having good moments when he's even by himself. He's having some interesting moments with some of the side characters.
Mm-hmm.
He's even having an interesting conversation with the monster of the week, even though there's some awkward moments
The
there
one that
too.
can't talk back.
Yes, but even though it can't talk back, he's still doctoring it up.
Yeah, I agree. There were some great Tom moments in there.
All right. Bill?
So I'm going to go with the trio that are apparently called the Bandits that I got to thinking of as the Pythonians, because it really felt like they were transplanted directly from a Monty Python sketch.
Itch.
I thought their leader looked like miniature Robbie Coltrane, personally. Seriously, it looked like the Haggard costume, but built smaller and older.
Yeah, I started cracking up when the first line I heard from them was just, I don't think we should execute her without having a vote. And it was delivered exactly like Monty Python. And I think that was the highest moment, but they never quite came down from that. And I think Randy mentioned that the script editor at this point was Douglas Adams, and there's a very good chance he had a role in there.
Oh, yeah, I bet
Possibly.
very much he did.
Yeah.
We're an autonomous collective.
Exactly.
Douglas Adams did actually have a lot to do with the people behind Monty Python, because he acted with them on their stage show that predated Monty Python's Flying Circus. So.
Ah. Explains some of that shared sense of humor.
Yes, it does. Thomas, how about you?
I guess speaking of which, as an overall thing, I really enjoyed the humor of this. It was like, just in the first episode alone, I was realizing, wow, I have had more genuine, out loud laughs in this than I have in quite a while watching Doctor Who. Of like any era. It was like, holy crap, this is just hilarious.
Now, how much of that was the unintended comedy?
Some of it was, but there was still plenty of like genuine, this was clearly supposed to be funny things that I was laughing at. Some of it was the big giant green penis, but other things were just like, okay, this is obviously supposed to be genuinely funny on purpose, and there was just plenty of stuff. Even before I got to the monster of the week, it was just like, okay, this is actually a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. So it was a nice surprise.
On a side note there, do you realize that monster was reworked to try to look less like a giant green penis?
Yeah, I believe we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but yes, you can, if you're watching carefully, you can see through all 4 episodes, or actually, technically all 4 episodes, as it keeps getting shown again, that they keep trying to work its libs to no real
Yep,
effect.
They added like pincer arms, but they kept the dangling penis in the front that the doctor like kisses.
Well, it's more like he blows on, and then tries to talk into it, and then listens to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it would not surprise me if that was Tom Baker ad-libbing. And he
Entirely
had
possible.
told to do that because apparently when it came in at first he was like, "Oh my god, yes."
Yes, but
Like-
the creature we saw when they got it in rehearsal, they looked at it and went, "No, you need to fix this." And the costume director wound up pulling an all-nighter trying to fix it to make it
Yeah.
look less like.
Yeah, like apparently when they tried actually filming with it, like just everyone was bursting out laughing to the point they had to yell cut because they just couldn't keep filming because people couldn't stop laughing about it. And apparently even Graham Williams up in the booth or something was apparently laughing his ass off
Yep.
as well.
So my opening, I don't know if this is a quote or a paraphrase on behalf of the people at TARDIS Data Corps, but it says Graham Williams referred to Erato as a giant cephalitic phallus, which was my opening quote. Apparently that caused the crew to burst into laughter, and then he yelled at them for it.
Oh, he has no right to complain. He's laughing as hard as anyone else.
Yeah,
So,
like apparently
It's the
it was
big
like
giant green peen.
So yeah, apparently creating vulgar monsters is a Doctor Who tradition. Because we all give them hell for the Vervoids,
Oh yeah.
but then we got this thing,
Mhm.
and then we've got Alpha Centauri back from the Pertwee era.
Yep.
They just, for whatever reason, can't help making stuff look like genitalia.
And TARDIS doesn't say anything about the translation device looking like a butt plug. But when I was putting together the title card, that was all it looked like to me.
You say that, but like to me it was more like the ship that it created at the end that looked like a butt plug to me.
Yes.
Yeah, that did look like a butt plug.
Yeah, I kind of remember the silhouette of it. I feel like, yeah, we didn't see it as much, but I get your point. I'm not sure if there's a good photo of it.
I'm not
Probably
that I've
for
seen
good
so far, but we can probably find eventually as I continue through things. Let me look ahead a little bit and see. Oh, there's a shot of it on the side. How good does it look close up? Oh, that looks... Well, in this one, it looks a little more like an egg, but still. It's on its side before it takes off. When it takes off, it really does. It does look like an adult toy after it goes flying through space.
Yeah. So yeah, I think my best thing would have to be the writing or the ad-libbing or whatever, because yeah, this was a very witty bit.
Oh yeah, it was funny. It was smart. It was dark. It was a lot of things all at once, and it never stayed on one note long enough to bore you.
Who is David Fisher? What else has he done?
I think when I looked him up, he had done some Hammer stuff.
He had done some stuff for the previous season. Stones of Blood, Androids of Terra, which were not really my favorites.
They weren't particularly strong ones, but they weren't horrible either.
Oh, you meant what else in Doctor Who?
Well, that's what he's seen right now first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Hammer House of Horror is what he had been involved in.
He worked on the story that eventually became City of Death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he did the Leisure Hive.
Yep. Apparently that was they put their foot down on that because they didn't want gambling to be portrayed.
And then he also worked on Dixon of Dock Green, Crown Court, Hammer House of Horror, and Hammer House of Mystery and Suspense. Okay.
I should say they put their foot down on the original draft. Obviously, City of Death was eventually aired, but it was heavily altered.
Okay, so let's talk about what we don't like about this serial. Matt, you are first.
Oh, I'm trying to think of something I don't like. Even the bad stuff I comically enjoy.
It's on that line of so bad it's good.
Yeah, even when they flub up, it's so enjoyable of a flub that you're just kind of like,
Yeah,
okay.
the only thing that I can think of personally is what we just discussed.
I was gonna say I'm waiting to see if the elephant in the room is actually anybody's bad point.
Don't get me wrong, yeah, that thing that they came up with to be Monster of the Week is highly flawed.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you
yeah,
can't help but to giggle every time the dang thing is on screen.
Yeah.
I
Of
mean,
course, I do find it hilarious that in the documentary about it on the DVD, right at the end, the guy who was like the head of the production team, I guess, or something that was making it, pulled out a letter that had apparently been sent to
A concerned fan.
well, it was like, I'm sorry, like it was like an apology letter of, oh, I'm sorry that the monster actually scared your kids, and he was like, oh, okay, well, we won. The monster was actually scary to someone, so that's enough for me.
So there.
all right.
So was that your negative thing, Matt? Then, or
Like, what do you
Or
come
you
up
pa-
with
or
for
you're
a
thinking
negative
passing.
thing in this episode? I have nothing.
All right, so Matt's passing. Bill.
okay. So I'm actually going to say the companions. K9 in particular. It's just with the new voice, and granted they had very few choices because John Leeson had quit at this point. But the K9 new voice just bugs me the whole time. And also just the fact that Romana had effectively, especially behind the scenes, not finished regenerating yet. This was the first episode shot with Lala Ward, and they basically wrote her and costumed her as Mary Tam, and she hated every minute of that aspect of it. By the time they got a little farther in the season, she would really be on her stride and be the Romana 2 that we've come to know and love. But yeah, it's I don't want to necessarily say it's clear she's not having a good time, but it's clear that she's not Mary Tam and she's not relishing being in Mary Tam's role the same way as she is once she's her own established character. She's in that phase where there's two Romanas we like and she's in between them and not having a good time.
All right. Thomas.
Oh God. I guess if I had to go with something, I'd just say that it kind of bugs me to a point how little the bandits ultimately matter to the story in a way. Like, as much as I kind of love the scene, Romana kind of gets away from them very easily, and they're just constantly either thwarted very easily or they're just kind of there so the plot can kind of move along, but that's it. They don't really do all that much. But like even then that's more of a nitpick because at least what they're doing is entertaining. But like actual plot wise, it's like they're just kind of there so the plot works in some areas.
She's got huge pieces of metal.
That's pretty much, yeah, they were just there to help stretch out the plot, really.
Mm-hmm. They were comic relief. This a Robert Holmes script. This was not.
Yeah. So I mentioned what I disliked was the big phallic monster, which I swear to God they made with a freaking like hot air balloon. and a green light on the inside.
And I
Oh,
think
green light
that
on the
some-
inside, green light on the outside, and saran wrap.
and it looked like a few times like they had added it in post. I'm wondering if that was to make it look a little less phallic.
In certain points, it was
Probably,
hard to tell why they did that.
Seemingly, from what I saw, they actually built it on like a very small rig and then did some other stuff. Like, I know apparently one person's idea that was shot down was apparently just they make it something that someone could essentially be inside and roll around in.
Oh, roll
Um,
around it. No, that could end up being a giant mess.
But yeah, like it. Yeah, from what I can remember, they just put it on some sort of very small rig that could like actually tip forward a bit for the bits where it has to be on top of people.
In fact, thinking of it now, I bet you half the crew went, "Who all remembers the bubble wrap?" And probably half of them raised their hand. Yeah, not doing that again. The bubble wrap bugs from the first season of Tom Baker.
The arc in space, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is just kind of funny as well that like the description of this in the like script or whatever was apparently just like essentially a slug like creature, and I'm like how did we get from slug like creature to giant weird brain with a penis? Like how did that happen?
Maybe somebody pointed out that Doctor Who already uses way too many slug monsters.
Yeah, they do.
I'm guessing
Anyway.
it's so that they don't have to operate.
Brings a whole
puppet
new meaning
legs.
to the phrase brain fuck.
Let's go to favorite scenes. Matt.
Oh, favorite scenes. Actually, one of my favorite scenes is Tom Baker does the cliffhanger for the first episode, jumps into the hole where it goes into the pit, right? We come to find out very quickly in the next episode that he's just hanging on a ledge and he doesn't want to back away. He's going to try and hide down there, but he's trying to figure out something with like the stonework and stuff down there. So he pulls out a book to try and figure out the stonework, and then realizes it's another language. I believe it's Tibetan.
Yes.
Yep.
So he pulls out another book and starts trying to translate Tibetan. So as the scene continues on, he literally places both these books on different ledges above him, and even pitons his scarf to the wall, and is going between the books, trying to examine the stone, trying to figure things out, and then he gets dirt kicked in his face, and he falls backwards and finally just falls into the pit and left those books behind.
Why was there Tibetan stonework there?
No,
Is
it
this-
was.
The book was
when
in
he
Tibetan.
The book.
Oh,
The book was a book on scaling Mount Everest,
Mm.
and he was trying to use it as a reference on how to use like pythons to keep a hold and climb back out.
Oh,
of the
that's
pit.
what it was. Yeah, he was
Gotcha.
trying to figure out how to climb
Okay.
his way back out of there.
And then
Because
he
I
realizes
s-
the book is a Tibetan and picks and switches over to how to
Okay.
learning
Gotcha.
Tibetan.
I saw the
Hmm.
cover of the second book a lot, but I hadn't seen the cover of the first book. Okay.
No, the doctor just names it aloud,
Gotcha.
so you don't
Yeah,
really
I
get to
didn't catch
see
what
it,
the
he
cover
just
was,
says
but
it.
I just kind of knew it was a mountain
Mhm.
climbing book. And then he's like, "Wait, it's Tibetan."
Which to me says like I would be very shocked to learn that wasn't a Douglas Adams rewrite.
Oh yeah,
It was
Oh,
like-
I'm
that
fairly
feels
certain
like
it
something
was.
out of Douglas.
I'm very certain it was because
Mm.
It's
there-
not even the first time he's done that with the Doctor.
with the fourth Doctor in books, because there was the
Destiny of the Daleks had a scene with an almanac, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
that happened to be written by Ulan Kalufid,
Yeah,
who is a regular Douglas Adams
author.
writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the Doctor is critiquing the work as he's doing that. That was in Destiny. I remember that.
Who is this god person, anyways?
All right, Bill, your favorite scene.
All right, so mine is the scene with the doctor, the matriarch lady, and forget what role they actually played, but where they're arguing, no, it can't be from an egg. It must be from ancient
Oh, well, then the
architecture or
engineers.
whatever. And he's like, well, I had some tools that they didn't, like a teaspoon and an open mind, and I know that's not the first time Tom Baker has used a line like that, but
Yeah, it's not the first time he's done a line like that, but it totally is him.
It puts a bow on the scene.
All right, Thomas.
Maybe it's just because I'm not as exposed to Romana as other people, so this didn't seem like off to me, but like I just loved Romana's been taken capture and she basically just tells them to fuck off and like it just leaves.
That's not totally against Romana.
Yeah, but like it's just so funny because like you wonder like if this was any other most other companions, Leela also would have just been like, well fuck you, I'll just kill you all and leave.
Or at least threaten the place in a tub of blood, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was very much in haughty Romana 1 mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little more haughty than normal Romana too, but it's not totally against character as far as I'm concerned.
But yeah, it was just so funny to me because it's like, oh, this is a nice breath of fresh air that she's just like, yeah, I mean, you've sort of taken me capture, but I don't care. You're all idiots, and I'm just going to make you summon K9 now, and have him show up and shoot one of you, and I'll leave.
All right. So I think my favorite scene is it's one of the cliffhangers when the Doctor first comes up into close contact with the creature and he's just like, hello. And he's just trying to be friendly and it just kind of starts rolling over his scarf.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you've rolled over my scarf. He's on the floor.
Yep. It was just such a Doctor moment. I'm almost surprised he didn't offer it a jelly baby.
Well, it doesn't have a mouth, so what do you offer it to?
Yeah.
He would have figured it something out. He'd have been like,
he would have offered it and then corrected itself when he realized it didn't have a mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this one's green. It's made with chlorophyll.
Would you care for a jelly baby? No, I don't suppose you would you? Yeah, that kind of thing. All right, so least favorite scene, Matt.
A least favorite scene. Yeah, it's really hard to come up. It seemed hard to come up with a bad scene, although I'm pretty sure if I thought about it long enough, I could think of something. Trying to think really quick. Though, off the top of my head, actually, I will say the one thing that did seem a little bit weird and a little nonsensical is basically Romana just becoming Mother Prime to the bandits and just telling them all to sit. As funny as it is, it's also like, really, guys? What a bunch of bandits we are, huh?
I mean, I guess
basically getting told down by our own captives.
Sounds like a Romana thing to do.
All right.
I just part of me just kind of assumed, well, she is a Time Lord. She probably sort of did some sort of mental shit to them to make them do it.
Hard to say without them actually telling you for sure, though.
So my scene is, I'm going to say the scene where they have to dematerialize because they're getting pulled toward the star, just because it kind of felt like they were padding for time a little bit. It didn't seem like it really added anything to the moment, and it was just kind of there to give them a few more minutes. Not a huge problem with, but just it kind of didn't feel necessary.
All right, Thomas.
The main one that I have, as far as that I can pull, like off the top of my head, it actually ties into my best scene because it's when K9 zaps that one bandit. The way he goes about falling over is just so weird.
Damn you, Thomas! I was going to say that was the worst on-screen knockout / death until you get to the singing telegram lady in Clue about 10 years later.
How is that one bad? Don't get me wrong, it's silly, but it's not. It's
There's
not.
no there. It's completely in violation of inertia.
Okay.
Well, okay, the singing telegram lady in Clue, she gets hit point blank range at a pistol, and she just kind of drops like her string was cut.
Okay, I
This
see
guy,
that. It depends, but
this
yeah,
guy is about to lurch forward with a freaking like a club or something.
basically a club.
K9 stuns him, and he goes staggering backwards.
He staggers. Actually, doesn't he just stagger backwards? He throws the weapon off to his side as hard as he can, does a half spin, then goes off onto his side / backwards.
Yeah.
It's very cartoony pratfall. It's just like what?
Yeah, it was over the top. I wouldn't say cartoony. I'd say over the top.
It was
Because
Yeah.
it was very
he-
clearly an actor trying to land in a place where they're not going to hurt themselves.
Yeah. I mean, if I was them, I would have said, have the crash pad in front of me here. I'll lurch forward. He stuns me. I'll continue to fall forward onto the crash pad. But no, instead they go for the most awkward. And again, the reason I mention those two is because they completely violate physics. They
Again,
violate the
I've
laws of
seen
inertia.
falls in like cheap action movies that actually more resemble what that guy did. It's very much the actors like very cautious, like on the stairs or something, going, "Oh, please don't bust my face," and tries to find a way to land without falling down the stairs. It's almost the same thing, but he's on a perfectly open floor. So why he went that way, I don't know.
All right. Well, Thomas stole mine, so let's go to final thoughts. Matt.
Final thoughts. I think the story is pretty decently well done. I think there's a couple of effects, the monster in particular in this one, that needed a complete and total rethink from the ground up. But the majority of this is still really well done. The sets were nice. The acting was pretty good. The writing was definitely nice and well done. It's just that there's a couple tiny little pratfalls and one big green problem. Otherwise, the rest of this is actually really good, and even despite its issues, it's really enjoyable. And that
All
basically
right.
covers all my bases there. That's
right.
this is in a nutshell.
Bill.
Right. So this was an episode that was really fun to watch. Definitely the dialogue and the acting had a large part to play in that. I definitely kind of wonder if this were a modern day thing, if Douglas Adams would have been scripted as a co-writer, or if the actual or if David Fisher himself would just was that comedic in the writing. And of course, Tom Baker might have ad-libbed quite a bit, knowing him. But the end result was definitely enjoyable. Um, However, if you want to be scared by the monster, I don't think that was the end result, because I think most people just died laughing every time it came on screen. I don't know whether to count that as a positive or a negative of the episode, though, because it still results in a fun experience. So it's going to be a challenge when it comes to rate that.
Yeah, the only thing that should be scared of this thing's a Japanese schoolgirl.
Damn. That's about it for my final thoughts.
Okay, Thomas.
This was when I was like watching this very early this morning. It was just like, oh my god, this is the exact opposite of last week, where I felt last week's Underworld was just very dull and dry mostly, and it was just like it couldn't keep my attention. This absolutely commanded my attention in like just how funny it was, whether it was intentional or not. And just like I just enjoyed the hell out of this. Like I very gladly watched this twice, and I could definitely see me coming back to watching this again. And it's kind of funny because, like, this is also one where the acting never really gets, like, aside from that one fall, really, and like one moment where Adrasta is like freaking out about the monster getting the shield thingy back. Like, none of the acting's like really insanely over the top. Like, nothing really reaches like Horns of Nimon levels of over the top, which even that I still enjoyed, but it's kind of like that. And just this is one that I would absolutely recommend people watch because it is just so fucking hilarious.
All right. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, I thought the writing was good. I thought the acting was good. Special effects could have used a little work. But still, all in all, I pretty much, it has that Douglas Adams sense of humor, which usually appeals to me. So I came off enjoying this. Yeah, I liked it pretty much. Ratings, Matt, you're first.
Oh, I called this by the 4th episode. This is a 5. This flat out, I enjoyed every minute. 5. Easiest review ever.
Oh God. I'm open to persuasion, but I feel like the right rating should be around a 4-ish.
Boo.
Well,
Thomas?
Thomas, what are you gonna give it?
It really is one of those things where I'm like, as much as I love it, is it enough to push it? God, you know what? I've given stuff with shoddy effects a 5 as well. I'll just give it a 5.
All right. I'm going to give this a 4.5. Because, like I said, that does have the shoddy effects and the little bit of the overhammy acting in like 2 places. But those are the only spots where it fell. So it's almost perfect, but not quite. So that will average us to a 4.6, which means I'm right.
Liars from the sheet.
4.6 will put this at number 46 out of 370 things reviewed. It is on par with, not a big list, oddly enough, Seeds of Death, Talents of Wang Chiang, Arachnids in the UK, The Ghost Monument, The Invasion of Time, Magician's Apprentice, The Witch's Familiar, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, The Ark, Image of the Fendel, The Ambassadors of Death, and The Bells of St. John. It is better than Utopia, Here Comes the Drums, Last of the Time Lords, The Zygon Invasion, The Zygon Inversion, New Earth, Enlightenment, Resolution, Mission to the Unknown, etc. And not as good as Stolen Earth, Journey's End, Torchwood Countryside, Kinda, and Day of the Doctor. So there we go. 46 out of 370 things reviewed. That's all we have to say about The Creature from the Pit.
All right, so let us know in the comments what you think about the episode. And if you agree with any of our ratings or just disagree with all of them. Don't forget to like or dislike the video if you feel either of those ways. And make sure to subscribe to keep getting our exports on YouTube or follow us on Twitch to see our new streams. Once again, remember that next week will not be our next stream. Randy will take it from there.
Yep. So, next time we're taking a week off to celebrate the holidays with our families, probably over Zoom or Discord. We'll be back in 2 weeks on the 6th to discuss the new Doctor Who holiday special. It's Revolution of the Daleks, written by Chris Chibnall, and starring Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, Mandeep Gill as Yasmin Khan, and John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness. See you in 2 weeks.
Dun dun dun.